Hello YouTube, it's Melissa and I am back again with another video, and I am starting off by showing you the product that I pulled, and it's called Sub-Zero from Simple Stories. I bought it a few years ago at an expo, and here are some snowboards that I printed off a free printable from Pinterest. And I also pulled my folder that I hold all of my what I consider like outdoorsy type elements. So not so much seasonal, but you know, outdoorsy plants and leaves and trees and those types of things. Excuse me. So just showing you that, and not sure where I'm going to go with this, but I'm going to start as always with my product jar. And in fact, I get all of these items used on my page except for the embossing folders. And you know, it really just came down to, you know, not knowing what I was going to do, and I knew that I wanted to build a scene. And this is in fact one of my first scenes that I have ever built on a page, and I am super excited about how it turned out. Excuse me. So right off the bat, I used that sheet of paper from the collection, excuse me, and pulled the colors from out of that paper and colored with my pencils 2 of the snowboards. I also pulled a light blue piece of pattern paper from my stash. I don't know, it's got a bird and some other things on it, but and some yellow polka dots kind of faint in the background. And I really just used it because I like the texture and kind of the readability of the tone on tone. So that's why I pulled it. So I actually went ahead and colored the 3rd snowboard on that free printable. I punched out some chipboard from that collection, and right now I'm using a really old school flexible ruler type bendy ruler from Bo Bunny. I bought it years ago, and I'm using it because I'm going to use it to draw out the hill. Now this is going to be titled Hit the Slopes. It's a page that is going to be documenting a snowboarding little afternoon that my husband and kids did in March. And so I wanted to make a couple of hills, and I'm going to nestle the title in the end, you'll see, inside of these hills. And so I'm just going to use my scissors and I'm going to cut them out. And I will use the negative from this cut as a second little hill area that will hold the actual title. And like I mentioned, this is what I consider my first layout where I built a scene, and I just love it. Love, love, love. I'm so pleased with how this turned out. Now, it is a little bit more time consuming because of the elements you have to cut out and those types of things, but I just think it is so cute. And so you can see there I have 3 4x6 photos printed, and each one of my kids are on each side, and then the 3 of them took a selfie in the middle. And I, you know, just love it. I just, where the direction that this page goes is just so great. And so I have dies pulled from my stash for the title, and I'll end up using the Lawn Fawn Kohl's ABCs, the Neat and Tangled Journaling Alphas, and the MFT Bottle Cap Alphas. And I start by cutting down my blue sheet of paper, and I'm just going to use that for the top half of my layout. But before I glue it down, I have a Kaiser Craft 12x12 template called Crosses, and I am going to use this with some Stormy Sky Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to haphazardly blend this on that sheet of paper. No rhyme or reason, and just whatever. And so I'm just using that for 2 reasons. Stencil was one of my product pulls, and I thought, why not? And also to add another element of dimension and texture to that background page. Since, you know, I didn't want to add snowflakes really to it, or, yeah, I just kind of wanted it to be a little tone on tone. The next thing I'm going to do is use the Pumice Stone Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to ink the edges of my little slopes there, my snow slopes, only because I want them to have a little variation for the look of the layout. And doesn't make it look like dirty snow, it just gives it a little bit of a shadowing effect. And yeah, you will see I'm also going to add splatters since this is a water activated ink. Just going to add splatters on the white just for, you know, just a little bit of texture really, just to break up my little blending marks and whatnot. And it's not watercolor paper, it's just plain old cardstock from my stash, probably from Michael or something. And so I need to be mindful of not using too much water. So they're just a little bit of specks. And so next you'll see here, I have the title set, Hit the Slopes, and here I am showing you, I cut the from the MFT, Hit from Kohl's Lawn Fawn, and the Slopes is from the Neat and Tangled. I'm using that same Sub-Zero sticker pack, and I pulled that little snowboarder, and I put the on an angle, which I thought was fun. I'm adding a red piece of patterned paper from my stash onto the bottom half of this layout. And what you can see on the top there portion is the Mama Elephant. It's called Snow-Capped Mountains. And that is a die that I've had in my stash forever, and I haven't used it yet, sad to say. And you can tell that because those snow caps are still attached to the top of those mountains. And now I've got some bits of chipboard that I'm thinking about using on this page. Not exactly sure where yet. I also cut some patterned paper from the collection. That Back of the Snowman is like a seafoam green, and just some craft, just as a way of anchoring my scene. Now here I have my Lawn Fawn stitched frames, and they're rectangles, and I made a frame just because frames was from my product pull jar, and I didn't have one that I liked in my stash, so I made one. And yeah, just wanting to also anchor that polar bear and snowboards, give it some grounding, so to speak. So now next you see I'm going to use that same pumice stone, and I'm going to do the same grunging up effect on these snow caps on the top of the mountains. Just so it all matches, really. I'm going to start gluing my elements down here. And, well, yeah, first I have a stamp from, let's see, that's Studio Calico, and it's called Hello, and it's really old. And I'm using a circle punch, and I'm going to add that element onto the bottom of the photo of my daughter. And the stamp says, Believe in Yourself. I also used from Technique Tuesday and Allie Edwards' old stamp that's called Incredible, and I stamped on the bottom of my son's picture that says, You are awesome. And yeah, I decided to put both pieces of chipboard on the middle picture on the bottom. And, excuse me, yeah, I'm just, I don't know, I'm just plugging away. I'm going to add my tiny attacher to the top of that circle. And at the end, you'll see I also add some phrase stickers to that picture of my daughter. I'm going to adhere these two side photos a little wonky, and the middle one relatively straight. And I don't add any dimension because, like I mentioned, this is a scene on the bottom or on the top, and so I need the bottom to be flat. I do add quite a bit of dimension to the top half, and yeah, I love it. Sorry about my crazy hair. Let's see. That piece of chipboard says, I have the layout here, it says I love fresh powder, and the one above it says enjoy the ride. And the okay, so the circle on the bottom of my daughter's picture says believe in yourself. And yeah, so let me talk a little bit about this page. So this was my husband and my kiddos. They went to Crystal Mountain in Michigan, and they spent the day there snowboarding, and it was a perfect afternoon. It wasn't too cold, and they had a blast. And I stayed home with our little puppy and just hung out and probably scrapbooked, to be honest. And so also, okay, so here I've jumped ahead a little bit, and I have some ribbon pulled with some snowflakes on it. It kind of matches the sky that I have. I also found that sign, a piece of ephemera, in the Sub-Zero ephemera pack that I'm going to add. And underneath the polar bear piece of chipboard, I have another piece of chipboard that says Escape to the Mountains. I'm going to add some dimension on the back of that sign. I also added some dimension on the back of that snowboarder sticker that's right over the title and the. And so anyway, back to that ribbon. So I decided I'm going to add that ribbon because in my product pull jar was some sewing or stitching. And for me, using any type of, ribbon or, thread or anything like that, all the same to me. So when I decided that I wanted to use the ribbon, actually, a lot of my ribbon is all crinkled and old. So whenever I'm going to use it, I always pull out a flat iron that I have. I just bought at Walmart. I have in my stash just for crafting purposes, and iron out the ribbon so it gets nice and flat. And I adhered that with some tiny staples. I have the date on the next to that frame, you can see, and that's it. That wraps it up. I used a sticker from the sticker sheet onto my son's photo there that says "Snow Much Fun." Some of the stickers on my daughter's pictures say "Playing in the Powder," "Adjust Your Altitude," "Snow Princess," "Bunny Hill," "Downhill," and under the "You Are Awesome" stamp it says "Life is Better When You Shred." And I am so happy with this layout, you guys. I am so pleased. So that's about gonna wrap it up. You can see I'm done here, just showing you some close-ups. And I would love a thumbs up if you liked this video, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll be back. I usually post every week, so yeah, I will be back soon. You can follow me and come see me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll put those links in the description box below. And I hope you enjoyed today. Thanks, guys. Bye.